I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man. Hey, what's up, chat? How y'all doing? Happy another day on the channel. You feel me? Happy another day on the channel. You feel me? Ooh, that was a. I feel like that was a great intro. I'm not gonna hold you. Hey, how y'all doing? Today is day 159 in a row of our 1 year Bible reads. You feel me? I hope y'all guys. I hope everybody is ready for another daily read. You know, I just got out of the shower. I just got out of the shower. My haircut look really military right now. It's time for a new haircut, Chad. I'm not gonna lie. You feel me? But you feel me? It's another 1 year Bible read today. You feel me? It's another 1 year Bible read today. Today is June the 8th. June the 8th, day 159 in a row, chat. It's 2 days early because it's June the 6th. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. June the 8th, baby. Yeah, June the 8th. June the 8th. Have to check the calendar one more time. I'm a man. Okay, chat. So today's verse is coming from 1 Kings 3:3 through 4, going to verse 34. There's a lot of 3s and 4s there. We also reading from Acts 6:1 through 15. We're gonna follow it up with Psalms 126, 1 through 6, and then Proverbs 16:26 through 27. You know? And without further ado, let's get into today's daily read. Today's daily read, baby. I need to buy some chapstick. Hold up. Hold up. Maybe we'll wear this Harry's as my chapstick real quick. Anybody else lips get dry when they got out of the shower? I think we're good. I think we're good. The lighting is not crazy. Let me turn it on the light real quick. Oh my gosh. Is that better? Yeah, for sure. Definitely better. Woo! Okay, now let's actually get into the read. 1 Kings 3:3 through 4, going through verse 34. So Solomon loved the Lord and followed all the decrees of his father. David accepted that Solomon to offer sacrifices and burned incense at the local places of worship. The most important of these places of worship was at Gibeon. So the king went there and sacrificed 1,000 burnt offerings. That night the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream, and God said, "What do you want? Ask, and I will give it to you." Solomon replied, "You showed great and faithful love to your servant my father, David, because he was honest and true and faithful to you. And you have continued to show this great and faithful love to him today by giving him a son to sit on his throne. Now, O Lord my God, you have made me king instead of my father, David, but I am like a little child who doesn't know his way around. And here I am in the midst of your own chosen people, a nation so great and numerous they cannot be counted. Give me an understanding heart so I can govern your people well and know the difference between right and wrong. For who by himself is able to govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for wisdom. So God replied, "Because you have asked for wisdom in governing my people with justice, and have not asked for a long life of wealth or death, or the death of your enemies, I will give you what you asked for. I will give you a wise and understanding heart, so that such as no one else has ever had and ever will have. And I will also give you what you did not ask for, riches and fame. No other king in all the world will be compared to you for the rest of your life. And if you follow me and obey my decrees and my commands, as your father David did, I will give you a long life." Then Solomon woke up and realized it had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the Lord's covenant, where he sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then he invited all his officials to a great banquet. Sometime later, 2 prostitutes came to the king to have an argument settled. "Please, my lord," one of them began. "This woman and I live in the same house. I gave birth to a baby while she was with me in the house. 3 days later, this woman also had a baby. We were alone, and there were only 2 of us in the house. But her baby died during the night when she rolled over on it. Then she got up in the night and took my son from beside me while I was asleep. She laid her dead child in my arms and took mine to sleep beside her. And, what's up, chat? Go to stream. What's up? What's up, Pigeon? Bro needs more other men. Jesus King. Yes, sir, River. What's up, Proton? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. In the morning, when I tried to nurse my son, he was dead. But when I looked more closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't my son at all. Then the other woman interrupted. It certainly was your son, and a living child is mine. No, the first woman said, the living child is mine, and the dead one is yours. And so they argued back and forth before the king. Then the king said, let's get the facts straight. Both of you claim the living child is yours, and each says that the dead one belongs to the other. All right, bring me a sword. So a sword was brought to the king. Then he said, cut the living child in two, and give half to one woman and half to the other. Then the woman who was the real mother of the living child and who loved him very much cried out, oh no, my lord, give her the child. Please do not kill him. But the other woman said, all right, he will be neither yours nor mine. Divide him between us. Then the king said, do not kill the child, but give him to the woman who wants him to live, for she is his mother. When all Israel heard the king's decision, the people were in awe of the king, for they saw the wisdom of God had been given him for rendering justice. King Solomon now ruled over all Israel, and these were his high officials. Azariah, son of Zadok, was the priest. Elareph and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, were court secretaries. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was a royal historian. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was commander of the army, and Zadok and Abithar were priests. Azariah, son of Nathan, was in charge of the district governors, and Zahud, son of Nathan, was a priest. A priest was a trusted advisor to the king. Ahishar was the manager of the palace property, and Nadi-Naram, son of Ibda, was in charge of forced labor. Solomon also had 12 district governors who were all over Israel. They were responsible for providing food for the king's household. Each of them arranged provisions for 1 month of the year. These are the names of the 12 governors. Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Decker in Makaz, Shaalbim, Beth-Shemesh, Elam, Bethanan, Ben-Hesht in Arubath, including Succoth, and all the other land of Epher, Ben-Abinadab, and all of Naphoth Dor. He was married to Tapath, one of the Solomon's daughters, Benai, son of Ahilud, and Tanakh, and Megiddo, all of Bethshan near Zarethan, below Jezreel, and all the territory from Bethshan to Abel Meholah, and over to Jachmeed. Ben-Geber in Ramoth Gilead, including the towns of Yair, named after Yair of the tribe of Manasseh, in Gilead, and in the Argob region of Bashan, including 60 large fortified towns with bronze bars on their gates. How you doing? Hey, Donna. Ahinadab, son of Edo, in Mahinam, Ahimaaz in Naphtali, he was married to Basemath, another one of Solomon's daughters. Baanah, son of Hushai, in Asher, and in Aloth, Jehophasat, son of Paruah, in Issachar, Shimei, son of Elah, in Benjamin, Geber, son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, including the territories of King Sihon of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan. There was also one governor over the land of Judah. The people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They were very contented with plenty to eat and to drink. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River in the north to the lands of the Philistines and the border of Egypt in the south. The conquered peoples of those lands sent tribute money to Solomon and continued to serve him throughout his lifetime. The daily food requirements for Solomon's palace were 150 bushels of choice flour and 300 bushels of milk. Also 10 oxen from the fattening pens, 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep or goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roe deer, and choice poultry. Solomon's dominion extended all over the kingdoms west of the Euphrates River, from Tipsah to Gaza, and there was peace on all his borders. During the lifetime of Solomon, all of Judah and Israel lived in peace and safety, and from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, each family had its own home and garden. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for his chariot horses, and he had 12,000 horses. The district governors faithfully provided food for the king Solomon and his court. Each made sure nothing was lacking during the month assigned to him. They also brought the necessary barley and straw for the royal horses in the stables. God gave Solomon very great wisdom and understanding and knowledge as vast as the sands on the seashore. In fact, his wisdom exceeded that of all the wise men in the east and the wise men of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone else, including Ethan the Ezrahite and the sons of Mahol, Heman, Kakol, and Darda. His fame spread throughout all the surrounding nations. He composed some 3,000 proverbs and wrote 1,005 songs. He could speak with authority about all kinds of plants, from the great cedar of Lebanon to the tiny hyssop that grows from the cracks in the wall. He could speak about animals, birds, small creatures, and fish, and kings from every nation sent their ambassadors to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. We're reading from 1 Kings 3, 3 through 4. And now we're about to read Acts 6, 1 through 15. Okay, but as the believers rapidly multiplied, there were rumblings of discontent. This is from Acts. The Greek-speaking believers complained about the Hebrew-speaking believers, saying that their widows were being discriminated against in the daily distribution of food. So the 12 called a meeting of all the believers. They said, "We apostles should spend our time teaching the word of God, not running a food program. And so, brothers, select 7 men who are well respected and are full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will give them this responsibility. Then we apostles can spend our time in prayer and teaching the word." Everyone liked this idea, and they chose the following: Stephen, a man full of faith and the Holy Spirit; Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas of Antioch, an earlier convert to the Jewish faith. These 7 were presented to the apostles, who prayed for them as they laid their hands on them. So God's message continued to spread. The number of believers greatly increased in Jerusalem, and many of the Jewish priests were converted too. Stephen, a man full of God's grace and power, performed amazing miracles and signs among the people. But one day, some men from the synagogue of freed slaves, as it was called, started to debate with him. They were Jews from Cyrene, Alexandria, Sicilia, and the province of Asia. None of them could stand against the wisdom and the spirit with which Stephen spoke. So they persuaded some men to lie about Stephen, saying, "We heard him blaspheme Moses and even God." This roused the people, the elders, and the teachers of religious law. So they arrested Stephen and brought him before the high council. The lying witnesses said, "This man is always speaking against the holy temple and against the law of Moses. We have heard him say that Jesus of Nazareth will destroy the temple and change the customs Moses handed down to us." At this point, everyone in the high council stared at Stephen because his face became as bright as an angel's. And now, we're going to read Psalms 126, 1 through 6. When the Lord brought back his exiles to Jerusalem, it was like a dream. We were filled with laughter and we sang for joy. And the other nations said, "What amazing things the Lord has done for them." Yes, the Lord has done amazing things for us. What joy. Restore our fortunes, Lord, as streams renew the desert. Those who want plants and tears will harvest with shouts of joy. They weep as they go to plant their seed, will they sing as they return with the harvest. And now, Proverbs 16:26 to 27. It is good for workers to have an appetite. An empty stomach drives them on. Scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. And let's read it one more time, because I thought there was a little more, but it wasn't. Now, Proverbs 16:26 to 27. It is good for workers to have an appetite. An empty stomach drives them on. Scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. And now, this passage here is called the split of the baby. It's called the split of the baby. The split of the baby. It's the story that most people know as a display of Solomon's great wisdom. Solomon had asked God for wisdom, and God granted it. So when Solomon needed to figure out who was the real mother of a surviving baby, his wisdom met the challenge. Centuries later, the Apostle Stephen was full of God's grace and power and performed miraculous miracles and signs. In a debate, no one can stand against his wisdom. If we don't know what to pray, we can simply ask God to give us the wisdom of Solomon and Stephen. And now, I'm going to turn off this camera. I'm going to ask for wisdom, clarity, and discernment on today's word, and then I'll be right back. Okay, chat, I'm back. We're back. I see your message, Kimberly. So I went ahead and Googled it before I came back to the stream. So Corinthians 10:31 says, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God." It's a great verse. I'm gonna screenshot that, save that to my gallery. Great verse, Kimberly or Kimber. I'm sorry to call you Kimberly. I just assumed there was a ly in there. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Niche. It's okay. It's okay. We did already read though. We did already read though, but let's go over the verses that we did read today. So we read today from 1 Kings, 1 Kings 3 through 4, going through verse 34. But we're still going to do our discussion, so it's all good. We also read from Acts 6 1 through 15. We followed it up with Psalms 126 1 through 6, and then Proverbs 16 26 through 27. So, that's great. I blame the time zone. Yeah, me too. But for our message from 1 Kings 3 through 4, going to verse 34 today, we're going to talk about Solomon. So Solomon was David's son. He became king, and everybody knows Solomon, right? Everybody probably heard of Solomon before, right? But let's talk about what Solomon asked for, right? That that we can take from today, right? Solomon, when he talked to God in his dream, he could have asked for anything. God said, "Ask for whatever it is you desire, and I'll give it to you." Right? What's up, Goof? How you doing? Welcome back to the stream, bro. Welcome back, Mr. Mod. But God said you can ask for anything, and I'll give it to you, right? And Solomon, instead of asking for any of the other things he could have asked for, right? He asked for wisdom. He asked for wisdom. He could have asked for riches. He could have asked for glory. He could have asked for this, that, and a third. But he asked for wisdom, right? He asked to be a good leader. He wanted to be a good leader for the people. He wanted to be a good leader for the people, right? And that's something that money couldn't do for him. He had a clear. What's up, baby? Okay. I'm gonna tell you a roast at the end of the stream, bet. Okay. Okay. Okay, but he could have asked for anything, right? but what he knew he needed was wisdom to be able to lead the people. He knew he was very new to this. He didn't overestimate himself. He said, "I'm still a child, and the only way I'm gonna be able to do this is if I have your wisdom," right? And since he did ask for the wisdom, and not for extra power, not for extra glory, not for defeating all his enemies, not for all the riches and glory of the world, not for any of these things, these worldly things. He asked for something that only God could give him, right? And the right thing that God had given him, right? He had a very right mind, a very sound mind, right? To want to ask for wisdom in that situation, like what most people are not going to ask for wisdom in that situation. When God shows up and says you can have anything you want, most people are not going to ask for wisdom in this situation. But wisdom was the absolute best thing he could ask for, right? Was absolutely the best thing he could have asked for here in this situation. The wisdom that he asked for brought him everything else that he could have asked for separately, right? But he asked for wisdom, and that wisdom led him to be a great king, led him to live a very long time, led him to be able to bring peace to the people, to bring peace to the people that followed him, the people that trusted him. He wanted the people that trusted him to not be hurt because of him, right? He wanted to be a good king. He wanted to be a just king, right? So let's think about that, right? The next time we have the opportunity to ask for something, right? Are we asking to help because we want to be a better all around, or are we just asking for something that is temporarily satisfying, right? Um, he asked for something that was bigger than himself, right? Wisdom is something that's much bigger than most people that would have asked for in the past would have done. Um, and he had a great ask. He had a great thing. Um, but let's take that example from Solomon, right? Um, there's a lot of things we can ask for from the world, but there are only a couple of things you can ask for that you can really get from God, right? So let's remember that. That's funny because I was going over what we did yesterday in our example of Think and Grow Rich, and that was what was flashing through my mind when I was looking at that. I was like, oh wow, like um, we're gonna talk about that later. We'll talk about it later. I already that's why I already have that scheduled for the stream after this, so we're not gonna do that right now. We're not gonna do that right now. We'll do that after this. But I was spending time with this stuff yesterday. You know, I was following instructions. I was following the instructions from yesterday's thing we did yesterday, and actually putting it into practice today, and it really gave me a lot of clarity. It gave me a lot of clarity on what I genuinely actually do want. Um, and now let's talk about Acts 6, 1 through 15, but we'll talk about that later. Um, Now this is to remember. Am I going to play basketball tonight? Possibly, because I didn't play basketball yesterday because the game was on yesterday and I wanted to watch the game. So, but we're not doing anything tonight, so we can probably go to the gym. I am plugged. You know, um, oh man, I get the alerts on my phone. um, but there we go. We're right back to where I was. So from Acts 6, 1 through 15. So the message from here is just because um, uh, you become, a follower of God, right? Follower of Jesus, right? I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the gym after we finish both our this read and then our assignment from yesterday. We're going to talk about what we did yesterday from the Think and Grow Rich read. Um, but there we go. It's brought back to me again. So just because we become followers of God, right, does not mean there are not going to be people that come into our lives that try to, do their stuff, right? They try their ways to try to make us not look good, right? They try to make you look bad. There's going to be people that's going to do that, right? So I just want to remind you that there are going to be people that come into your life that are going to try to make you, look bad. They're going to, try to um, do this and this and that to try to destroy your image. But one thing to remember, and at this point, everyone in the high council stared at Stephen because his face became as bright as an angel's. I'm very sure that something amazing is going to happen for Stephen here, right? Um, uh, but even when they try, right, God is still going to have your back, right? Even if it looks daunting, God still got your back, right? So remember that even in those situations, to remain faithful, right? To keep the faith in those situations. That's why it's great to ask for wisdom and clarity and discernment, because in those situations, instead of getting upset and riling up and wanting to fight back or whatever, you can remain at peace in those moments because you know and you know that God is going to have your back in that situation, right? So now you don't feel what they wanted you to feel, which would have been turmoil or to be upset or to like the anxiety or whatever they were trying to force on you to feel, right? You don't have to feel those things because you know you're protected by God. Even if they try to deface you, even if they try to tear your name down. See you later, goof. I just want to pop in. I have to go. I have a friend over. Hey, no problem, bro. Good to see you, man. Good to see you as always. Yeah, we're going, bro. Um, but even if they were to try to do that, it wouldn't work. you know, even if it in that moment, in that time frame, in this little short space of time, looks like things might not be going your way, they can't tear you down. because God still has your back, you know? So in those situations, let's remember that that God didn't leave us. You know, God didn't just leave you there just because somebody may be talking junk about you. That doesn't mean God has forsaken you because somebody's talking junk to you or talking junk about you or spreading rumors about you. What's up, Oneness plays? Welcome to the stream, bro. You know, that doesn't mean that any of that stuff. And in some way, God is going to, you know, exalt you. Right? Yesterday's lesson told me that I am excellent regardless of who tries to debase me. Exactly. Right? And God will still end up exalting you right in their face. Yeah, if no matter what the situation is, you'll be set free right in front of their face. To whoever it is that was trying to tear you down, you'll be set free right in front of their face. And then they can't do nothing about it. And then they can't do nothing about it. So then you could just, you know, go on about your life. You don't got to put it in their face, right? Just go on, walk about your life. Wish you the best, you know? I wish you the best. It sucks that you try to do that to me, bro. But it is what it is, you know? Still wish you the best. I hope you get whatever it is that you need in your life that made you feel like you need to do that. But it's cool. I'm gonna move on with my life. I'm not gonna sit here and harp on it. It happened, but God protected me. So why would I be upset, right? So why would I get mad about the situation? Because God kept me safe, right? So, you know, so yeah, I've been in situations in my life where people do whatever they try to do, and then, but at the end of the day, I'm still here doing my thing. You know, I'm still, you know, I was still blessed in the end. I was still, you know, exalted right in front of their face. You know, free right in front of their face. They try to put shackles on me. They try to shackle my mind, or maybe try to take away. They try to take something from me, which would have been my spirit. They would have tried to bring down my spirit or something, but they didn't, because I always remain to believe that God still has my back. It might not look pretty, but God still got my back. So, and I'm sure at the end of the day, when this is all over, I'm gonna be all right. So I'm gonna be fine. So just let's just remember that just because you become a follower of God, but just because you start to believe in Jesus, you start to do everything you're supposed to do, does not mean that people are not going to try to do whatever. People are still going to be people, but it doesn't. But I just want to clarify that doesn't mean they can do anything to you. You know, God still got your back. Ain't nothing gonna happen. It may not look pretty all the time, but it'll look pretty eventually. You know, so. Sometimes you have to go through that kind of stuff, and it just reminds you, it builds your faith a little more when God still helps you out in those situations. It builds your faith. Don't let it destroy your faith. Let it build your faith. When God, you know, frees you from whatever is happening, just let it build your faith. You know, come here, baby. Why are you wanting to see your brother? What is he gonna do for you? I wish I could show you. Alfie is literally wanting to Eli on the beanbag, telling him to come on. It's pretty funny. But it really won't matter. And it just builds your faith up, you know? So it's all good. Facts, amen. Facts, you try to tear down your self-esteem, try to remove how you feel about yourself. It's really a lot. As they see that you feel good about yourself, and they're like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh man. And then they try to come, you know, they do whatever they try to do to try to tear it down, but they don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. You know, you'll be all right. You know, you'll be just fine. So, and I always say Psalms is a great way to learn how to pray. It just shows honesty, right? It shows somebody just telling the truth, being open. You know, it really shows you a lot of it just shows you truth, a lot of honesty. Psalms is extremely honest. It's a very just honest. This time it was a song for pilgrims ascending to Jerusalem. But if you go look through Psalms, right, you can find just great ways, just a great way to learn how to pray. Through Psalms, as we've been going through them, it's just amazing when you see people, just the pure honesty in Psalms, right? And then Proverbs 16:26-27. It is good for workers to have an appetite, and envy stomach drives them on. Scoundrels create trouble, and their words are a destructive blaze, right? A little bit of hunger never hurt nobody. A little bit of hunger never hurt nobody, you know. A little bit of hunger never hurt nobody. Um, a little bit of hunger still creates your dreams, right? A little bit of hunger for life creates beautiful dreams, creates beautiful things, right? When you're not hungry anymore, right, and you're full, you don't really want to do anything. You don't really have dreams when you're full, right? But a little bit of hunger, um, you know, makes the dreams come up. Makes you still have something to accomplish in his life, right? So it's okay to be a little to still be a little hungry, right? That's where dreams come from. That's where the passion comes from, you know. And this proverbs is reminding us of that. And then scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. Um, you know, I mean that seems point blank period right there. You know, um, it's some troublemakers out here, you know, but you know they come and go. Some troublemakers out here, bro. So they come and go, you know. So, um, and we wrapped up today with the split of the baby. It's a story that most people know as a display of Solomon's great wisdom. Solomon had asked God for wisdom, and God granted it. So when Solomon needed to figure out who was the real mother of a surviving baby, his wisdom met the challenge. Centuries later, the Apostle Stephen was full of God's grace and power and performed miracles and signs. In the debate, no one could stand against his wisdom. If we don't know what to pray, we can simply ask God to give us wisdom of Solomon and Stephen. So if you don't know what to pray for, listen, baby, you move a lot, you know. If you don't know what to pray for, right? You don't know what to ask for, you know. There you go. You know, ask for the wisdom of Solomon and Stephen, right? Um, and that wisdom will more than likely lead you in the direction that you were looking for anyway, but you didn't have the words for it, right? You just don't know what it is yet. Um, so I hope everybody enjoyed today's When You're About to Read. I always enjoy it. I always enjoy it. Sometimes I'd be tired. I'm tired and I'm like, ah. But then I'm like, but every single time I read, I feel way better afterwards. So it's like, forget the feeling of I'm tired. Maybe I had a long day. It feels good to come to read every single day, and it re-energizes my spirit every day. So I'm enjoying this. This is day 159. We still got a ways to go. We're not even halfway there yet. It's 365 days, you know. So we're not halfway there yet, you know. But we're making our way, you know. We're making our way. So making our way downtown, walking fast. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's Wayne Bible Read, and let's hit this outro. No problem, Niche. Always good to see you. Always good to see you. But let's hit this outro. We're gonna do it with Alfie because he wants to be a part of the stream every single time. I'm gonna brush his hair later. We all got that limitless core, baby. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I might even love you, but for sure. Glad you woke up today. Thank you for joining me for another One Year Bible stream. As always, I appreciate your presence. Your presence is always appreciated here. That's the most valuable thing you can give me. And I can't wait to see you again next time. Peace. Have a great rest of your night or day or evening or whatever it is for you, right? And we're going to do our discussion about the Think and Grow Rich right after the stream shortly. So peace. Have a good one. I'm trying not to get attacked.